Hey there, Joe DiSanto here. Going to do a little video here on the topic of wealth destroying mistakes that people often make. I'm going to do a little list of the ones that, you know, come to me as the primary ones. Number one biggest mistake I think people do is not uh, planning their financial future out when they're younger. When I say younger, I mean in their 20s. You can actually make a roadmap for yourself using a spreadsheet where you figure out where you want to go in life, when you want to retire or reach financial independence, how much that is going to cost you, how much you need to save along the way to work towards that goal, and how much those savings need to make in terms of investment return so that you'll reach that goal. Of course, when you do it that early in life, there's a lot of variables that can make that road more quick, or take longer. But without having a map, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Along that journey, there's a whole host of other steps that you want to engage in that is going to improve your finances overall and take that road trip you're taking and have it come to fruition sooner. So another top thing is people don't ask for raises at their job. A lot of people tend to just wait for the raise to be offered to them. And of course, when you do that, some employers will go out of their way to give you a raise if they really feel like you deserve it, but it's much easier for them to maybe put that off another year or two if you're not asking. And there are other people asking, that is for sure, and the squeaky wheel gets the oil oftentimes in that case. So you want to be asking for raises along the way. Number two, you don't learn about investing and understand the value of your savings growing through investing while you're in your working years. You need time to be on your side for investing and compounding to work. So you have to prioritize savings early on, as early as you can, and get those savings making money while you're at your day job. A lot of people just don't really bother with their finances in general in their 20s and often in their 30s. And when you don't do that, you really don't have an understanding of how important what I just said is and how important getting started early in one way or another is. And if it means you have to forego some other discretionary expenses in order to prioritize the savings, you're going to need to do that when you're younger. As you start making more money, you probably can have the best of both worlds, more savings and more discretionary spending. But you really need to think about that, that is for sure. Another one is more in the investing area and not understanding what kind of investments you're making and whether they are risky or not risky, where they fall on the risk spectrum, and how that relates to where you are in your journey towards financial independence. As you get older and you build capital, you want to get into a bit more of a capital preservation point of view or stance with your money. And that's what people are talking about when they adjust your asset allocation over time based on your age. Essentially, as you get older and you've grown some money, you have less time to make up losses and so on. So you want to be making sure that, especially in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you're understanding the risks of your investments and how they relate to what your plan is. See, I keep referring back to this plan. You need the plan. It really informs you along the way, both about what you should be doing and why what you should be doing is important. It's just this constant reminder. And you don't have to sit and look at it every day of your life. Even if you just kind of spend 1 or 2 days a year thinking about it, that might be enough, especially in the beginning. Tracking your finances, knowing what your income is and your expenses are for real, not a guess. Understanding if you're making more than you're spending, i.e. having a net savings every year, and utilizing that information to make a budget so that you can curtail spending in the areas that makes the most sense. I always say to people, you don't want to make your life miserable, so curtail your spending in categories where it doesn't really matter to you as much as other categories of discretionary spending where you would really be bummed if you didn't get to have this one thing or whatever on a regular basis. So prioritize your spending on how much value the result of that spending brings to your life, and that will differ from person to person. Okay, so another one also in regards to investing is not working with an investment advisor. So this is a difficult area because not all investing advisors are great. That is true. But the one thing any investing advisor will do is probably save you from yourself. It's very difficult to do investing in a quality way. I'm not good at it even myself, admittedly, because I get far too emotional about the money, seeing it was so hard to make. I don't want to lose it, and I tend to make rash decisions, and I have oftentimes bought high and sold low because I was nervous. So having an independent third party there as a sounding board and someone to kind of talk you off the ledge at times, it can be invaluable. Now, of course, if you're going to go through the bother of hiring this person, you want them to be good. And finding someone that's good is not easy, just like everything in life, especially things that can potentially make you money. So you have to put the research into that and have a good understanding of that, and do your best to try to work with someone that is good. Now, most investment advisors, human beings, have a certain high level minimum account size requirement. So usually, if you're going to be using a brokerage firm or some investment help, it might even be a robo advisor, meaning a robot that actually does portfolio construction based on information you give it. Essentially, the robot is given information from humans, but that may even still be better than you doing it yourself, because they're going to take generally a little bit of a conservative approach for sure. Their goal is probably going to be a roughly 7% compound annual return. They'd probably feel pretty good about that. That might not sound like much, but if you go at it yourself and you lose a bunch of money and set yourself back significantly, you'll think that sounds great at that point. So that is another thing. Not Again, back to the planning. If you don't have a plan, a long-term plan, that includes also the cost for college of your kids, if you are having kids, that will be a wealth destroyer for sure. Now, you could debate if that's truly a wealth destroyer. Obviously, you're doing something great to help your kids get educated and do well for themselves, so I don't want to call it a destroyer or a mistake, but it is expensive, and it will set essentially your savings and retirement portfolio back significantly when that time comes. So your plan should include that kind of cost in there coming out, at whatever age your kids are going to be going to college, whatever age you are when your kids are going to be going to college. Another thing that you might consider as a large cost issue is parental health care costs. I don't know, most people I don't think about having to pitch in or pay for their parents' health care. I mean, unless your parents are, not well off from the beginning. But they're on their own retirement journey, and if they get kind of old and their funds get depleted, then they need some sort of long-term care, that can be expensive. So something to consider. I mean, for the people who are considering and accommodating for that in their personal finances, I'm talking, that's probably like less than 1%. I mean, very few people are even thinking about that. I just got to get people to think about the college thing. But that is something to consider, and will kind of hit you off guard. I'll end with one last thing. People having the long-term plan that they'll work forever. When you're young, for whatever reason, you're just like, I'm going to be working forever, I don't have time to save. I'm going to have some fun. I mean, what am I going to save? $10 a month? What's that going to do for me? And I totally appreciate that sentiment. I kind of felt that way. But as I got older, I realized a few things happen. Sometimes you get aged out of your industry, like just straight ageism. You're old, and the industry is a young industry, and they just don't think you're cool anymore. Also, as you get older in your job, you tend to be the person that gets paid the most, wants to work the least, and has the most vacation time. When you are that person, you have a target on your back. They want to get rid of you because you are expensive, and there are young people willing to work for less and work more hours without complaining. Thirdly, your health might give out on you, and you might not be able to work because of that reason. And this can start to happen for people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, obviously in their 70s. So I wouldn't plan on saving your whole retirement situation by the work you're going to do in your 60s or 70s. So that's another one that I hear that I think is dangerous. There you go. Those are some super fun things to think about. I know you're going to walk away from this video feeling good, and I'm glad I could do that for you. I will talk to you next time. Bye.